Welcome back now to our collusion and corruption segment. A bill that would mandate radical ethnic studies curriculum in schools is making its way through California. If enacted, it would require all school districts to offer a semester-long ethnic studies class starting in 2025. The curriculum said, among other things, that within ethnic studies, scholars are often very critical of the system of capitalism, as research has shown that Native people and people of color are disproportionately exploited within the system. Now, there's no other way to describe this than radical indoctrination. But there's been a little appetite among Democratic legislators in California to actually stop the far-left takeovers of our schools. So, could we be seeing this bill actually signed into law sooner rather than later? Joining me now, senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, Mike Gonzalez, to discuss this very thing. Mike, first of all, thanks for joining us. Let me point out, I'm a dad. I've got a kid in schools here in California. Maybe we'll go off to college here as well. And I can tell you, and I'm sure most parents can, I'm very worried about this leftist takeover and this indoctrination and what they are spewing to our kids out there. So is there a way for conservatives to try and stop this takeover of our schools?
Well, Dan, thank you very much for having me on. I'm a parent. I'm a father, too. You have every reason to be worried. This is not about teaching the history, real history of Americans. This is about instilling grievances into the members of groups that are said to be marginalized. And the reason why you're instilling these grievances is to make sure that they believe the country is institutionally or structurally or systemically racist in order to change the institutions, the structures in the system. It's about changing America. And that is the way it needs to be understood. It is not going to be about teaching Frederick Douglass or the way he defended the Constitution, because as he said, its principles and purposes were entirely hostile to the existence of slavery. That's never going to be taught.
Mike, another question for you. School choice, we hear about it all the time. This is so important, I think. It's a very, very hot topic right now in California. How can that be stopped? I know they've been trying. Fill us in there.
Well, I mean, what you need is school choice. If this pandemic has taught us anything, and the way that the teachers' unions have not allowed schools to reopen, it is that parents need to have options. They need to have choices. They need to get their money and have the money follow the kid, not go automatically to the schools. But this issue of ethnic studies, Angela Davis, who is a professor emerita in the California university system, calls ethnic studies the intellectual arm of the revolution. I wrote a book on this. I just published a book on this. It's called The Plot to Change America. This is a plot to change America. It's to change the storyline of America and replace it with something different. This is not about teaching Frederick Douglass or teaching W.E.B. Du Bois or teaching the discovery of Florida by Spaniards and the founding of St. Augustine. Nothing to do with that.
Yeah, with all this cancel culture and trying to rewrite history, it keeps reminding what our grandparents probably told us, yours did, mine did, is that if you don't remember your past, you're doomed to repeat it. So another big question for you here, because we just saw this in California with the Los Angeles school district out there, the union actually pushing back, saying defund police or else in their negotiation process. I don't understand how a teachers union gets involved with the defund police movement. So my question to you is, why won't Democrats stand up to these unions and say this is ridiculous, knock it off?
We need to have a national conversation. If we need a national conversation at all, it is on public sector unions, because you have the teachers negotiating with the people they give money to elect, and the people who pay are us, the taxpayer. We have to have a conversation on police unions, teachers unions, postal unions. This is a problem that we have had for a very long time. Teachers unions play a very nefarious role in the educational system.
Mike Gonzalez, senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Tipping Point.